Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. What do you do now? The world has changed so drastically in just a short amount of time. Many of you, and I hear from you all the time, almost daily, of telling me, I just don't know what to think. The world has changed. America has changed so rapidly. It seems like it's overnight. Even people that have been prepping for years, people that have been, aware of the things that are happening and going on and where this nation is headed, still are in a little bit of shock as to all this change that's happened so rapidly. And so what do we do with ourselves now? Well, we'll get into that here in just a minute with just some ideas that I was coming up with today. I want to mention something that I'm not affiliated with at all. I'm not a speaker there, I'm not a vendor there or anything, but for you folks here in the Ozarks, there's what looks to be a pretty interesting expo coming up this weekend, the Ozark Homesteading Expo. It's in Marshfield. I just thought I would mention it. My wife and I and children are planning on attending on Friday. And like I said, I'm not a speaker or anything, just a regular attendee, but it's Friday and Saturday. So for those of you in the Missouri Ozarks, that might be something to check out. It looks like there's going to be a lot of great speakers and different activities for everyone to do. And I believe you can still get tickets at the gate on that, according to what I was reading. And then also along the way, if you're still trying to stock up on foods, and you should be growing your own and buying the stuff at the store and canning your own and making buckets full of dry goods and everything. Along the way, it doesn't hurt to add some freeze-dried emergency foods. And you can find that with preparewithtravis.com. That's www.preparewithtravis.com. I work with My Patriot Food Supply, which is an excellent company that are folks that are just like you and I, and that's why I work with them, because I've talked to them, and they started out as just a family of preppers is all it was, and so they produce a pretty good quality food, and I believe about the best value when you look at dollars per calorie on the market today. So, what do we do? Do we continue to live in panic? Do we live in a state of fear and worry and fright that any moment we could get the knock at the door, demanding that we receive the thing or we be hauled off to some quarantine camp? Do we sit in fear waiting for that day to happen, that it could be an invasion, or it could be a complete reversal of all the freedoms that we have come to know and love, and watch us rapidly spiral into this totalitarian, globalist, new world order, great reset? Is that what we do with ourselves? Because I think a lot of people that are, whether they're seasoned preppers of old, or they're brand new to this lifestyle, with all the stuff that's happening on a daily basis now. I mean, it seems like it's every day. There's things that are going on that's just moving us closer and closer to that point to where you wouldn't even be able to recognize that this was once a free republic. And a lot of people are worried about what to do with themselves, how to behave, how to get prepared. What should I be doing on a daily basis? And this is something that I was thinking of this morning. I was spent the morning, and it's hot here, doing a mowing job for someone. And so I've spent the last 3 or 4 hours sitting mowing a big lot. And I was thinking about this. We have to keep moving forward, and we cannot live in fear. Part of why we prepare and part of why we choose a life of self-sufficiency as much as we are capable of is to get ourselves ready, to train ourselves, to train our minds, to train our bodies, and to have the resources that we need when the time comes, that we are able to continue to live a fairly normal life of independence and survive through what is headed our way. So the question is what do we do now? Do we just continue this monotonous, fearful lifestyle? Of course not. And that's what a lot of people think. A lot of people think that preppers, homesteaders, preparedness-minded people, self-sufficient living, all this kind of stuff is just a bunch of terrified people waiting for the end to arrive. And that's not it at all. In fact, I would say we're the opposite. I would say the people that are living out in the world, that are ignoring the problems and that are doing exactly what they're told because they're terrified that they might get sick and die, or doing exactly what they're told because that's the new level of tolerance, or doing exactly what they're told because this guy is supposed to be the best person to vote for. That's what they were told. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, but they were told to vote for this guy and that he's the best and he's better than the other one. So let's fall in line. We have to continue about our normal lives. I mean, many of you have jobs, some of you are retired, some of you are stay-at-home moms. So of course we have our normal daily lives. But aside from that, what do? Well, we continue to prepare ourselves. I have often used an analogy, and I don't mean to, when I say this, I don't mean it in a way that we are literally going to battle. I mean, that certainly may happen someday. It's always a possibility. But when I talk about warrior mindset, or training yourself in somewhat of the same way that a soldier would train for war, it's about the mental preparedness, the psychological preparedness that we must go through to get through all the stuff that's happening and not break us down. Because living in fear, it destroys us eventually. There's a lot of evidence showing that living in this panicked and feared state will actually lower your immune system. It can damage your organs, your heart. It can cause you to gain weight or cause you to lose weight excessively. It's just not healthy. It's not physically healthy. It's certainly not mentally healthy. We need to keep our wits about us and keep our intelligence and our thinking and our logic sharp and honed sharply, because there are so many things happening. We need to be on top of our game. And so on a day-to-day basis, as you're living your normal life, start thinking of ways to get yourselves more prepared. What are the things in your life? There may be things that you've forgotten of. What are some stuff maybe you need to stock up on? What are skills that you would like to start learning? Books that you should probably acquire and start reading them and trying to develop different knowledge, a knowledge of different things that you may not have known in the past. Do you take the time out of your week? Do you set aside time to say, okay, this is, a certain amount of time that I'm going to devote to developing a new skill that will help me be more prepared? When you go about your business on a day-to-day basis, whether you're going to the store, you go into work, or whatever you're doing, I still think we are at that time that we need to be what's called the gray man, which simply means that you blend in, you don't draw attention to yourself. This is one of those things that's changed rapidly in a short amount of time. Even just a couple of years ago, most places in the United States, you could, have pretty much whatever bumper sticker you want, any kind of patriotic bumper sticker. You could wear t-shirts or different things like that to kind of express yourself, your politics, your beliefs of what's going on in the world, or even your religious beliefs. But there are certainly becoming more and more places in this country that if you do that, you will be assaulted. Just flat out true. You will be attacked. You will be beaten up. And then on top of that, there are more and more people that live in so much fear that when they see someone that may appear to be a patriotic person, or may appear to be someone that rebels against what the government tells them to do, they feel and live in so much fear that they feel compelled to kind of tattletale on them. In fact, there have been over the past year and a half various different government advertisements and different government people in the media and people in government in a way encouraging people. If you see something, tell someone. If you see someone that's acting weird, tell someone. If you see someone not wearing this, tell someone. If your neighbor's acting weird and goes shooting all the time and flies flags that are rebellious and flies flags that are, ultra patriotic, then you might want to tell someone, because you never know, that person could be one of them patriotic extremists. I mean, even social media is doing this. Facebook has become notorious for showing little ads or whatever they are, and that if there's anyone in your news feed that, or your friends list, that are coming across as a patriotic extremist, report them right away so that we can take care of it. So it's becoming more and more dangerous, literally dangerous, for us to express our patriotism and to express our beliefs, whether they are moral beliefs or our beliefs of what is really going on, or our spiritual beliefs. So I believe right now we live in a stage and a time that being, incognito, that gray man, is probably necessary. I wouldn't bring too much attention to you. I know living out like what we do, it's not quite as big a deal. In fact, this past meeting we had this past weekend, there were several out-of-towners that came in for the meeting. And several of them made comments that on the way in to where the meeting place is, just about every house that they passed, and we're out in the building is out in the country, but as they're driving, just about every house had some type of patriotic or pro-Trump or something displaying, kind of indicating their patriotism. And that is very true out here. So some of you live in a place that it's still pretty safe to do that, but you need to understand that could change, even in the areas that you do. And for the rest of you that live in the big cities or in areas that aren't super ultra patriotic conservative, certainly be careful about what you do and how you talk to other people. And then as you're doing that, you're living your normal life. You're going to work, you're going to school, taking care of the kids at home. You're being a gray man as you're going out in public. You're figuring out what skills that you need to develop. You're developing that mindset. Along the way, you also have to start basically teaching your brain, teaching your psyche how to think. And what I mean by that is realizing that the odds are right now, I would say, and this is just my gut estimate, I'm no expert, but I'm just saying from what we see, what we talk about on a daily basis, the odds are, I would say, that things are going to get worse. The odds are that we're going to become more and more isolated from the rest of the world, even from our friends and families. Because all of us pretty much have people that are buying into all this stuff that's going on. And I'm hearing more and more from people that are saying that, their children doesn't want to be around them, or their grandchildren, or their parents, or their grandparents, or their aunts and uncles, or next door neighbors, or childhood friends, or whatever it is, because they didn't get the thing, or because they voted for the wrong person. And it's creating more and more isolation for folks like you and I. And most of us believe that it's going to get worse, that we're going to see all of this immorality, all of this, chaos and lying and crisis. Everything's a crisis now. We're going to see that get worse most likely. And so we have to condition ourselves. We have to condition ourselves, play out scenarios in your head as a possibility, what to do. What would I do if this happens? What would I do if I wake up one day and this has happened? What would I do if this person no longer wants to have anything to do with me? What would I do? And so in doing something like that, you're training your mind and giving yourselves possibilities and options of how to react to something. Because as things get worse, and there'll certainly be things along the way that happen, we don't want to, become so overwhelmed by hearing the news about something, or so overwhelmed because a family member tells you you can't come around because you didn't get the thing, that it breaks us down, that it causes us to become, in a weakened state, or, causes us to doubt the path that we're on, and the temptation of finally giving in, of just, being plugged back into the matrix, so to speak. So I would encourage folks along the way to just play these scenarios out and try as best as you can to prepare yourself and what's going to happen. Even though we don't know exactly what's going to happen, we can certainly play out scenarios in our head. And going back to what I said, think of all this as if you were a soldier. And many of you have been soldiers. Many of you have been sailors and Marines and airmen. And so you've gone through training. Some of you are, from various law enforcement backgrounds. So you've had some type of combat training. And some of you have actually seen real combat. So I think you understand what I'm saying. But for the rest of you, even though I'm not, inferring that you're going to actually go into real life combat, you're involved in a psychological combat right now. That is what's going on. It is a psychological warfare is what we are involved in. And so it doesn't matter how fit you are. It doesn't matter how the physical abilities that you have. Right now, it's psychological warfare, and you have to develop your mind to be able to combat that, to stand against it, to defend yourselves. You need to prepare to defend yourselves, because it is a war. It is, in a sense, a war. And there will be attacks, and they're attacking on every front, it seems like now. And so as you're preparing yourselves physically, as you're acquiring the goods that you need, as you're learning the skills that you need to become, more self-sufficient, as you're learning more and being aware of more and learning what's going on and hearing about all the stuff that's happening, you need to be developing your mind to get ready of what you're going to do if this happens. What are you going to do if this happens? What are you going to do if this happens? And then what are you going to do if everything collapses around you? What are you going to do if you're no longer allowed to go shopping because you didn't get a card or a thing on your phone that they can scan? What are you going to do if the grid goes down? What are you going to do if there was an invasion? What are you going to do if the supply chains completely collapsed? All these different possibilities and more. It's good to start going through them mentally and developing some answers, even though they may not be the best. That's not even always the point. The point is that you're already visiting these scenarios so that when something really does happen, you've played them out in your mind and you're a little bit stronger psychologically, and you're able to handle the stress and the shock and the immediate change that might happen in your life. And then also, while you're playing it out psychologically, start writing down the things that you need to do to get prepared for that. And that helps you become more physically prepared also, so that when something actually does happen, you're mentally prepared because you've gone through all these scenarios and how you're going to react. And then you've also added to your physical preparedness through the skills that have been developed and the things that you've acquired to help, get you through those. And so it will make it much easier, regardless of what happens, for you to survive through it and to keep your wits about you. Because folks, that's the biggest thing. They want to wear us down. They want to wear the population down so that we just give in. That's the whole thing with this health crisis. It's to wear people down enough that they finally say, okay, I'll just get it. I'm tired of all these restrictions. I'm tired of not being able to live a life that I'll just get it already. I'll just do it. Just do it and just leave me alone. That's what they want to do. Only the strong is going to survive. That's just the truth. And it doesn't have to be strength in your body. It can also be strength in your mind. And so don't give up, folks, and keep yourselves busy. Don't doubt what you're doing. And daily, and if nothing else, at least weekly, think of the things that you can do to get yourself more ready for all the things that are happening. All right, folks, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.